Hi everyone, Luke here from Weekend Tour Pros. We're back again in the studio and today we're filming another iron review. And today we are reviewing these. It's the Mizuno JPX923 Forged irons. So let's get set up, tell you all about these irons and give them a hit and find out just how good they really are. Okay, so I've got the JPX923 Forged iron in my hand, and the first thing I want to talk about is just how this iron looks. It's a really traditional iron look and actually very fitting of all of the Mizuno range. You're not going to get any thrills in terms of the looks in the Mizuno range based on all the irons I've seen over the last couple of years, particularly when you compare it to some of the more game improvement iron designs that I've been testing on my channel. There's no fancy colorways, no fancy patterns, just a lot of kind of chrome construct with a little bit of white paint infill on Mizuno logo and the iron number on the bottom of the club. Otherwise, bar the name and the model of the club, nothing else too much about it. In terms of how it looks down at address, it's got all of the typical things that we're expecting to see from a player's distance iron. It's got a medium kind of thickness top line. Now actually that's one of the improvements that Mizuno have made this year. They've made the top line on these irons slightly thinner than the previous version, and I think it is a nice profile of top line compared to other players' distance irons that I've tested. I'll put it side by side with the Titleist T200 older model so you can see them side by side on the screen for you now. The other big change that they've made this year is they've been able to generate a slightly thinner face. So the face thickness on this iron is 2.3 mils versus 2.6 mils with the previous incarnation. Now that's a real small incremental marginal gain, which is all these manufacturers are looking for at the moment. But what they say that's been able to do is allow them to move some of the weight off of the face into other areas to help with ball speed, but also giving you that outstanding Mizuno feel that Mizuno are famed for and always like to talk about. In terms of a couple of other things here, when we're looking at players' distance irons, we always want to see a little bit of offset, but not too much. I think you can certainly say by looking down at this golf club, there isn't too much offset in this 7-iron. And the other thing that I really like is the blade length for these irons isn't overly big. It's only about 8 centimeters in the 7-iron, which is quite a compact design. It's actually not much bigger than their tour version of these irons, which is only a couple of mils shorter in the 7-iron. And I think that's testament to the sort of sleek design that Mizuno are trying to get to with it. Otherwise, a couple of other things to maybe talk to you about is the loft on the 7-iron. So the 7-iron in these range is at 30 degrees and the pitching wedge is at 44 degrees. And that makes it very, very comparable to the other players' distance irons that this is comparing to out in the market. Things like the TaylorMade P790, the Callaway Apex DCB and the Titleist T200, the new ones that have just come out. All of those are around 30 degrees or 30.5 degrees in a 7-iron, and then about 44, 45 degrees in a pitching wedge. So this is no different. It's putting itself in a very similar loft window as those irons as well. In terms of a price point, it's also a very similar price point to those golf clubs. This one retails for £1,049 for a 5-iron to a pitching wedge. Obviously, if you want to add longer irons or a gap wedge as well in the set, then you can absolutely do that. But that is very, very comparable to those other irons that I've just called out. Some of them are maybe £100 more, some of them are £100 cheaper, but they're all in a very similar ballpark together. So I think if you're in the market for a player's distance iron, you definitely need to kind of make your decision based on feels and getting the right performance for you, because they're all in a very similar price point otherwise. I think that's the key things to tell you about this iron. I think what we should do now is set up the test and start hitting some shots. Oh, that soft feel is awesome. So first one out the gate, my club head speed's a little bit down at 73. I'm sure as I warm up I'll get a bit more club head speed, we'll get a bit more ball speed and as a result a bit more distance, but 73 mile an hour club head speed, ball speed at 103.8, smash factor at 1.42, the carry at 142.5, spin rate at 5041, launching at 17 degrees, peak height 64, land angle at 40.2. You'll always hear me talk about, I'm always trying to get my peak height to about 70 feet with my 7-iron. I'm trying to get that land angle above 40. If I can always get the spin rate above 5,000, that's a win for me. So a really good start for the Mizuno, considering it wasn't the greatest or most powerful hit that I'm going to do over this test. They definitely feel absolutely fantastic. So I've just turned that one over a little bit to the right there, bit of a pull draw, but as a result, club head speed has gone up a little bit, starting to warm up, 76.4, ball speed at 107.6, smash factor at 1.41, carry numbers up a little bit because of that pull at 149, spin rate stayed really consistent though despite that, 4957, launching at 16.4, a little bit lower again because of the pull, peak height 66, and that land angle still at 39.9, which is really impressive considering I've hit a low pull shot. Another really nice hit, probably a little pull down the right. Yeah, just a little one. So 74.9 club head speed, ball speed 106.6, smash at 1.42, carry at 148 yards, spin at 4997, launching at 16.6, peak height 66, land angle 40.5. Now the one thing I can say is we've hit 3 shots with this golf club and they're almost identical in terms of the numbers that we're seeing, which is absolutely fantastic consistency and another string to the bow of an iron, like a player's distance iron. You do really get that kind of consistency as you move up to this kind of category. But these ones are just, yeah, 3 shots in, super, super consistent. I think that's the best one of the lot so far. Oh, it's a shame, I've just pulled that one, tugged it down to the right, just closing the face down, but the ball speed, look at the jump up there to 108.8 off a very similar club head speed, carry at 149.7 because it's a pull, spin again at that 5,087, launch 15.1, peak height 62, land angle a little bit down because of that slight change of a pull. That was another really good hit. Tried to just start that one down the left, unfortunately overcorrected myself a little bit. Club head speed 75.8, ball speed 106.8, carrying 146.5, spin there 5572, that's a real high spinning golf shot for me with a 7-iron, launching at 17.8, peak height jumped up because I managed to push it to the left hand side as a left-hander, and we got that land angle up at 43.4. And that might be the best shot I've hit so far. They're just awesome. Oh, it is. 75.4 of club head speed, 108.4 of ball speed, carrying 151.7 yards, the longest one I've hit so far today, still spinning over 5,000, exactly like I want it to, launching at 18, that peak height at 76 feet, and that land angle is at 43.5, like, sheesh. That's the numbers I'm looking for in a 7-iron. Give me those numbers on repeat, and I would never ever change my irons. If that's 2 in a row, I'll be absolutely delighted. I've just pulled it a little bit down the right, but again, look at those numbers. 76.1 of club head speed, ball speed at 108 on the dot, carrying 149.5, spinning at 5269, launching at 16.7, peak height of 70, land angle at 41.8. As a mid-handicap golfer, maybe my only criticism is if I don't hit them flush, the drop-off is a little bit more than I would get out of a game improvement iron, but that's to be expected. Everything else about these irons is absolutely fantastic. I've just got it on a rope now. Not as long as the last one, I wouldn't have expected. 75 mile an hour club head speed, ball speed 106.8, carry 148.3, spinning at 4953, launching at 16.9, peak height of 68, and land angle of 40.7. That's so good again. So good again. Oh my God. That lovely ball flight. Club head speed 75.9, ball speed 106.8, smash factor 1.41, carrying 148.2, spinning at 5233, launching at 18.2, peak height of 75, land angle of 43.5. Right, come on, one more. Give me one more. Absolutely flush one that goes down that left-hand side. I've definitely started down the left-hand side. Has it drawn back? It's trying, but just not enough. Club head speed 74.7, ball speed 106.8, carry number 149.4, spin rate 4914, launching at 17.8, peak height 72, land angle 42.3. Okay, so done hitting shots with the Mizuno JPX923 Forged, and yeah, I just love these irons. You know, I've hit probably about 15-20 shots to try and get the ones that I'm going to show you in the video here, and they just feel fantastic. That's the overriding first impression. As soon as you hit a golf ball with these irons, I think you will be absolutely blown away and love the feel of them. It just feels great. You get really good feedback from the irons, which I think as you're a mid to lower handicap golfer, you want that out of your iron. You want to understand what's happened to the ball straight off of the face, and you definitely can start to get that from these irons. In terms of looks, I love how traditional the look is and the shaping of it. Some people will say it's quite plain and boring, but I love that, and I know there's a lot of traditionalists watching down the lens that will absolutely love that about these irons too. The one thing hopefully I've been able to see in the numbers, but we'll go home and check that in a minute, is they're delivering everything that I would also want out of a player's distance iron in terms of numbers. They're delivering some really consistent ball flights. We're able to see that yes, there is a bit of a drop off when you don't hit it great, and that's what you can get with a player's distance iron versus a game improvement iron. But if you hit it well, you get real consistency of ball flight, you get consistency of launch, peak heights, land angles. The spin rates are really good. I'm always looking to get my spin around 5,000 or above with a 7 iron, and I'm able to do that with these irons, and also get the distance relative to what speed I'm putting in as well, with some really good ball speeds and some really good smash factors. Now what we need to do is go home and look at the data objectively side by side versus a batch of shots I hit with my own Titleist T200 shortly before we started filming. So let's go and do that now. Okay, so let's take a deep dive into that data. At the top there, you can see the batch of shots you've just seen me hit with the Mizuno, and at the bottom, my own Titleist T200 that I hit shortly before I started filming. Starting on the left-hand side, you can see that club head speed with both of these clubs was virtually identical, only 0.1 mile an hour in it. However, the ball speed with the Mizuno was 1 mile an hour faster than with the Titleist, and as a result, the smash factor at 1.42 was fractionally better with the Mizuno. So those claims that Mizuno are making about that thinner face and the increased ball speeds, hopefully we're seeing it here compared to a slightly older model Titleist. In terms of the spin rate, you heard me talk quite a lot in the bay about how good the spin rate was in my hands. I am a low spin golfer, so 5109 with a 7 iron in a simulator condition off of a mat, which is normally about 1,000 revs lower than you'd get on the grass, is really, really good for me, and it was 400 revs more than I was getting out of my Titleist T200. Again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's almost 10%, which in the context of me as a handicap golfer, I'm trying to get as much marginal gains as I can, and the Mizuno definitely comes out trumps in this part of the test. I also was very complimentary about the ball flight, and that again is backed up in the data. You can see that the launch angle of 17.1 means it was launching 0.8 of a degree more than the Titleist T200. The peak height of 69 feet on average was 5 feet more. Again, these don't sound like a lot, but they are sort of 8 to 10%, which is a real big difference when you think about it in that way. And the land angle at 41.5 versus 39.4 was 2.1 degrees more of steepness of descent angle into the green. So what does this all mean for the carry and the total distance? Well, you can see in terms of carry that the Mizuno was carrying 1.1 yards more than the Titleist T200, so I was getting a little bit more carry distance out of it. But the interesting thing is the difference between the carry and the total, so my stopping power with this iron was massively improved with the Mizuno because of that combination of spin and the ball flight. The 147.4 to 158.9, the difference with the Mizuno was 11.5 yards. With the Titleist T200, it was 13.3 yards, so my ability to hold a green is significantly improved with the Mizuno irons because of that ball flight, and in the same breath they also felt fantastic. Always like to show you my dispersion because you don't see every shot that I hit in the bay, but you can see here that my left and right dispersion maybe wasn't that great on the day, but I think that's more to do with the fact that I was hitting in a studio. I always find it hard to hit down a centre line in a studio when you haven't got some real world kind of grass and golf course to aim at, but you can see that the front to back dispersion was really, really good. Also just like to show you that side on of the ball flight. You can see a couple of the shots, the two shortest shots had a slightly lower ball flight, but the fact that all the other shots are overlapping each other again is testament to the consistency of this golf club in my hands as an average swing speed mid-handicap golfer. So let's get to my concluding thoughts and would I buy these irons? So to answer that question of would I game the Mizuno JPX923 Forged golf irons, the answer is a simple one, absolutely. So much so that the irons you've seen me use in this video is the brand new set of irons that I got delivered a couple of weeks ago. I absolutely love these irons so much I bought myself a set. Now, if you've been following the channel for a long time, you'll know I've had some reservations about my current Titleist T200, not about the irons themselves, but whether they were the right irons for me or fitted correctly for me. And the issues I was having is that the ball flight maybe wasn't strong enough or high enough for me, and I wasn't getting enough spin. So that was my key recommendations when I went in for my fitting, and my fitter confirmed that to me, and we were able to find the Mizuno delivered that performance and also felt absolutely fantastic. So I just had to put my money where my mouth is and buy a set of these irons. So I would certainly recommend recommend them to any mid-handicap golfer with an average swing speed looking to get a slightly stronger ball flight and a slight fraction more spin than they're getting from their current irons, while still having incredibly soft feel and good workability out on the golf course. I've used them now for about 3 or 4 rounds on the golf course. They feel fantastic. I've been hitting a load more greens and really enjoying getting used to using these irons out on the golf course. The final thing they've enabled me to do as well, if you've not yet seen the video on my channel where I decide what golf ball I'm going to game for the rest of 2023, I'll put a link to it up there for you in the top corner now. I was undecided of whether to play the golf ball that felt the best or the one that objectively performed the best. Now, the one that objectively performed the best was slightly firmer, and I don't like playing a firm golf ball, but I'm pleased to say after putting that golf ball out on the golf course with these new Mizuno irons, the combination of that super soft face of the Mizuno and the slightly firmer golf ball, together they feel absolutely fantastic, and that's given me the confidence to continue testing that golf ball, and hopefully it's going to be the one that stays in my bag for the rest of 2023 and beyond. All that's left for me to say is if you like the video, please do smash that thumbs up button, and if you're not yet subscribing to the channel, then go on, follow the Weekend Tour Pros movement and you'll get notified of all my videos when they land on the channel. Thank you so much for watching, have a great day, goodbye.